Hello, welcome to week 12 review. This is officially week 13, the final week of Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. Congratulations, you guys have made it this far. Kim has some family that she's spending time with right now, so she says she cannot be here, so we'll celebrate with her in mind. She's here in spirit. So glad to see you guys back. Trying to check out the volume here in my background music. Oops. I shouldn't throw my phone. So welcome again to the final week of The Artist's Way. We will continue to meet on Sundays at 2 o'clock to continue on with a book, Steal Like an Artist. I know some of you have already got this book, and what I really like about Steal Like an Artist is that we go from some really heavy stuff to some fun, creative, playful things, and some practical ways in which we can get creative on top, and it'll build on top of what we've already done. So if you're here with me, go ahead and give me a shout out in the chat. Let me know who you are. Let me know that you've made it. And again, congratulations, you guys. We're going to start out by doing our check-in. And there's a couple of questions and answers in the back. And then, hi, Jeremy. Nice to see you. Hope you're feeling better this week. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, I was trying to grab, let me grab that book right now so you guys can see it. All right, you guys. So again, this is the book we're going to continue on with next week. It's Steal Like an Artist, and it's by Austin Kleon. And it's 10 things nobody told you about being creative. So again, next week we're going to reconvene here. Hi, Zandra. Welcome. Next week we'll be working on Steal Like an Artist. We'll meet Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And I believe it's 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So this will be moving forward. We'll get some really cool, playful stuff. I also want to let you guys know that I have donated my time to do this workshop because I wanted to get through the book, and I also would like to expand out to doing a yearly Artist's Way workshop. If you have enjoyed this, please know that I'm going to move these videos over to my Patreon account. If you'd like to make a donation for the guidebook, you can send me donations via my PayPal. If you would like to continue on with our live content, it's going to be every Sunday here on YouTube. And then what I'm going to be doing moving forward is having some full video content on my Patreon, and we're going to have like rewards programs and things like that. So I got to update my website and update my Patreon and move these videos over. And that way, if you have been following along with us, all these videos have been public. They will be moved to a private setting, so only people who are our Patreon subscribers will have access to it. And then again, I'm going to go to doing an annual Artist's Way workshop. I feel like this was really impactful for me hosting it, and the feedback that I've received from you guys is very positive. So I want to thank you guys for joining in. And again, I really appreciate you guys just contributing to this. It's been awesome. So I want to start out with, so what we're doing is this is the 13th week, which means that it's just week 12 review today. So the tasks that we had at the end of the week, I just kind of want to talk about, give you guys a moment to maybe let me know what your favorite task of the week was, what was most impactful for you. And I kind of want to take a minute and see if I can answer that question for you guys as well. You know, I think what I want to do, it's kind of a split for me between task 2 and 8 as far as what was most impactful. So number 2 was taking a look at my current areas of procrastination and what is the payoff for me waiting? What is the payoff for me not taking action? It says here to locate your hidden fears and to do a list on paper. And when I first initially started writing, I didn't quite get to the juicy bits of it. So this is number 2, and if you can see here, I have a whole paragraph of stuff that I wrote until finally here at the end, I have these big, very clear statements that I marked off. And it took me a minute to actually get to what the root of some of these fears are. And I bet you anything, if I had sat down and spent a little bit more time, or if I continue to go back and look at it, I can probably even clearly state more payoffs for me. But the bulk of it for me, now let me go ahead and reread what the task was. So again, it's take a look at your current areas of procrastination. What is the payoff for you waiting? And you might be sitting there saying, well, there's no payoff for me not taking action. I don't know why I do it. And that seems like the most logical answer, but if you really sit down with it, you can see some things like this. No effort with no payoff versus effort with no results. We look at people that stay in abusive relationships and we say, why did you stay? That wasn't healthy for you. Why did you stay? Or, and you think there's no payoff for them staying. But aside from, there's multiple reasons for this, but I'm just going to pare it down to this one for the sake of this analogy. And it's that you might not like being mistreated, but it's something that you know what the end result is. If you stay, you might hope for something better. And of course, please know this is a very touchy subject. And I'm not trying to belittle anybody's experience or dumb it down to this or say that anybody's experience is the same as this. But in my experience, there's so much hope that something will change. And it's hard to take that step to walk away from something that because you want it so badly to be something else, right? So for me, that might be a really bad example, but that's what came to my head. For me, if I don't make an effort to change, there's going to be no payoff. And I'm just sitting there hoping for it to change. If I actually take an action and walk away from something, that leaves kind of an emptiness, right? Where that, even if it's a negative thing, that still took up space. And so that emptiness is hard, but you can't ever have anything new come into your life if you have this other thing there, whether it's something that you like or not. You don't just get to walk up to something and switch it out. You actually have to take that effort to open that space up so that something better can come in. And also the part about unknown results, right? You don't know what that new thing coming in is going to look like. And a lot of people that are in abusive relationships are being told that this is the best they're going to get because look how terrible you are. So there's a lot of psychological stuff going on here, and I'm kind of regretting a little bit using this analogy because it's not a perfect analogy and it's not synonymous. It's not a perfect parallel. But I'm hoping you guys kind of understand the message. Zondra's in the chat. She says, on fire, girl. So apparently this is making sense. This is coherent. Hopefully nobody is being triggered by any of this. So anyway, hopefully this was just taken with a grain of salt. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. There's a lot of situations in which we're in that we don't enjoy, and coming back, refocusing. All right, so again, why would I not do something that I know would benefit me? Because you don't know what the results are. And moving on, I have other points here. I get to avoid vulnerability if I go along with an existing way of life. Meaning, if I take steps to make a change, that puts me in a vulnerable position. And again, I don't know what I'm going to get. And for the most part, when you take steps away from negative things, you can allow positive things in if you're able to recognize, this is what I want, and you stay focused on what you want, and you don't let more riffraff come in and take the place of the riffraff you just got out, i.e. bad habits, i.e. negative people, i.e. abusive situations. Also, I get to avoid effort if I don't try, right? So you don't want to put effort into something if the results aren't going to be what you want, right? Who does? Like, who really wants to put effort into something if the results aren't going to be exactly what they want? But the thing is, that's not the way of the world. We don't get to make that decision. We either get to try, or we either get to try and hopefully get something new and better, or we get to not try and stay where we are. The other thing I got out of that was I get to avoid responsibility if I fulfill the beliefs that others have about me. So if others have an existing belief about me, and I let that belief that others have about me, or a perceived belief in many cases, then I don't actually have to take responsibility for who I am or what my decisions are, because everybody's already made their decision anyway, so I can just let them believe that, and I can choose to believe it. So those were, number 2 was pretty effective for me after sitting and writing it out. Because if you've been watching this live stream, you've been seeing me being like, okay, like I really want to do this, and yet I don't, and I think everyone can relate to this, saying, I really want to do this, but not carving out that time and shutting everything else down and saying, no matter what, this is what I'm going to do. And this workbook and leading this workshop has really been really powerful for me in shining that flashlight on that, because, and that's another reason why I like to host these things, is that I get to learn more when I'm teaching. So like I'm able to show up for you guys and do the workshop for you guys, which is why I wanted to host this, because I was like, okay, I want to get through this book too. And if I have you guys showing up and I'm supposed to be here for you, I'm going to do that for you. And the shift that needs to happen is that myself, and maybe this is hitting home with you too, and maybe you're going to decide that this is something that you need for yourself, but I need to make a decision on what it is that I want and what it is I want to put my efforts into, and I need to say that this is my schedule and I'm going to show up for myself. Ooh, okay. Number 2, that was mine. That was my favorite one. This seems to be my biggest thing is people are very important to me, and I need to be included in that. So I'm wondering if you guys had similar revelations, if you had a similar revelation, or if that strikes home with you. I know Zandra, she's going to shout out and say word. You know, that's Zandra's like, yo, I agree with you. So if you that rings true with you, go ahead and throw a word in the chat, and or whatever you want to say, just yes, like, yes, I relate to that. And also, cheers, you guys. We made it. Week 13. Zandra says, word is my preach. Preach. So anyway, that was really impactful for me. If you guys had one that was really impactful for you, again, feel free. You know, and number 1, write down any resistance, angers, and fears that have been going on from here. Oh, wait, that you have about going on from here, this point. So now that week 13, you know, we're doing a review. What is something that you're nervous about or fearful about, like moving away from this workbook? Mine was that maybe I still won't adhere to a schedule and carve out the time for the things that I want. So I think that being said, with these first 2 points, that really hitting home for me, it's time to be like, okay, so you keep saying you want to do these things. You keep saying that you want to do this or that. Then now it's time to actually take a step and do it. Maybe don't take a step to do all of it at once, but maybe for the next week, add, you know, if you want to carve out a half an hour time slot for something once a week, add that to your schedule. And then next week, do that same thing, and then maybe add something else. Baby steps, small ways to get there. Zandra says number 1 was impactful for her. She says that having the reading has really been energy giving, and that she needs to build things into her life that nourish her inspiration. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and you've done a lot of stuff throughout this workbook that your reports on how it's affected you have shown that that's been healthy. And then Zandra says, which is what an artist date is supposed to be. But what this does for her, I think she's going to type some more. So, yeah, so I think just taking that time to be like, okay, let's continue with these habits then. So what's been good for me through this? Let's continue it on. And if you notice on number 10, we have a challenge to reread the book. And Zandra says these readings have sort of been her artist date. Okay, so the readings we're going to continue on with the other books, so that can still be your artist date. I know for me, I find a lot of things that are inspirational to me, and I would like to have more time to reflect on them and to create, do my follow-up with the inspiration. Some other things that we have here is to take a look at week 1 and reread what our negative core beliefs were. And that was down here on page 30. And I actually took the time to star the core beliefs that I had that were negative. And so that was really helpful for me because I got to go back and hone in on, oh yeah, this is what I was really feeling at the beginning. And then I can actually be like, okay, well, I might still feel that way, but I've progressed a lot. Or maybe I don't feel that way anymore. And maybe now I'm feeling this one a little bit more. So the healing of one has uncovered that another one is still there and underlying. So I think rereading the book is beneficial for that very same reason, because we've excavated a lot of stuff, we've realized a lot of things, and if we go back and we reread based on that existing knowledge we have, we can actually see more about what's stopping us. And I think that's really exciting that she gave us the opportunity in number 10 to reread this book. And if you continue on to page 202, there's a creativity contract that we can have with ourselves. And it talks about recommitting ourselves to doing our morning pages for the next 90 days. It talks about recommitting ourselves to continue to do the artist dates, like you're talking about, Zandra, for the next 90 days. And recommitting ourselves to focus on one creative endeavor that we really, really want to work on. And just a plan to continue to do self-nurturing creative actions and to create a plan for that. So I think that being said, it would be really, really good if we committed to ourselves for the next 90 days that we're going to reread the book, we're going to continue doing the morning pages, and we're creating this action plan based on what it is that we want to do, and we're going to actually stick to it. Just like I have to show up here at 2 o'clock every Sunday for you guys, I need to make a commitment to myself to show up at X amount of time, once or twice a week, for myself to work on a specific thing. So I actually had an opportunity to go out and see some people tonight, but I ended up going out yesterday and they weren't able to make it, and now they want to go out tonight. And I had to say, you know, I went out yesterday and I have things that I need to do for myself. So being able, I like to connect with people, and being able to say, no, I'm going to stay here and do this for myself, and being able to just say, hey, I'm going to hit you up next time, and is really important to me. I've been trying to do, you know, if you want to come hang out, let's go in an outdoor setting where we can social distance, and let's all get together and kind of mingle there, rather than this, I can afford to do like one-on-one things with people, but I'm limited in my time, especially since there's so much that I want to do. So for me, that's a big struggle. So trying to get people to say, hey, we have one date, let's go hang, I can see all y'all, and then really being able to have that time to recharge, unplug, and then relook at my inspiration, and actually take that from inspiration into a inspired creation. So for me, it's about this action, carving the time, action, because I don't have a lack of inspiration. What I have is a lack of discipline in saying, in when I change from one task to another, I need to have that moment to reset, and I need to focus on that creation and not let other things get in the way of it. So there's my little tangent on that. And again, this creativity contract, this is good stuff. Some other things that we were looking at here, as far as our tasks go, is, you know, Julia gave us the assignment of, if you have anything that needs to be mended, go ahead and sew that, mend that. Either mend it or get rid of it. any plants that you have that need to be repotted, go buy a bigger pot and give them a little bit of room to breathe and grow. Another option we have here for a task this week is to make a jar that we just put our worries in, we give it to the universe. And it can be a jar, a box, a vase, a container. You just write down your fears, your resentments, your hopes, your dreams, and your worries, and you just put them into that box, and you give that to the universe, and you say, look, this is something that, I've been carrying, and I'm just going to give it up for now. And number 7 is to actually use our universe box. And there's task 1 that, Zandra, you really like task 1 a lot, so this might be good for you. And I think it would be good for all of us. But to use our universe box, start with our fear list from task 1. And when we're worried, remind ourselves that it's in that box. The universe has it. And then to go and take the next action. So we can only control so many things. If we can't control it, put it into that box. So that universe, and then only choose to take actions on the things that we actually have control of. So number 8 is now check how. What would you most like to create? Honestly, what would you most like to create? So what strange paths would you take if it gave you a chance that it would work? What appearances are you willing to shed to pursue your dream? So I have a vision of something that I want to create. I think that it will naturally occur. However, it just because of who I am, in that is a desire that I have, I do feel like it will naturally occur. However, I also believe that if I'm willing to take the time to do this task number 8, and I can write down all the ideas that I have that could possibly get me there, that will start my focus on that. And my attention to that, all the paths that could happen will actually help bring that about sooner, because then thinking about something and having it reflected upon allows you to recognize not only the ideas that you've had for that, but again, it's the whole concept of synchronicity that we had earlier throughout this book that we've been noticing popping up week after week. We've all had moments of synchronicity where, the universe just brings us paths that we never could have imagined. Like, oh my gosh, my neighbor knocked on my door, and they gave me this idea about this, and they know somebody, and so I experienced synchronicity this week. So my art studio that I had, there's a whole bunch of creatives in this compound, and we all rented studios there just down the road from here. And one of my neighbors, he makes bike gear, and he hand sews it, and it's weatherproof, and he makes like electronic accessories, basically things that go with your bikes, or your bike's accessories. And we had a conversation right as soon as the COVID-19 outbreak pandemic started showing up, and I said to him, what is one way that you can change with the times and pivot into what our new reality is and continue with your business, right? And I was speaking just in a way to where it was like a trigger, like a question for both of us to think about. And it's funny because I was just talking to him the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, he goes, you should, he was posting on his Instagram that he's selling these masks that he's making now for people to protect themselves and each other. And I was like, oh, these are really cool, I would really like one. And he's like, oh, you should actually sell these. And I said, actually, I want to redo my website. And I said, I want to sell them with my art on them. And so we were talking, and synchronicity, I had just thought, oh, I should sell some masks. I was just having a conversation with my mom about redoing my website and reincorporating the videos. And he posted about the masks, and I said, hey, these are great. And he was like, you should sell them. And I was like, would you make custom ones for me to sell? And he said, yes. So it's like, I know a local artisan, so like I don't have to try and get a company overseas. You know, I can help my local economy. And so that was my synchronicity for the week too. So is that I had a conversation. Now I'm going to have a business partnership with an artist that, you know, I personally know, that is a local Seattle fella. And yeah, and he actually happens to be a Black owned business. So he's a local good we can spread around. So anyway, that was the God jar. So yeah. So, and then another task that we have is to list 5 people you can talk to about your dreams and with who you feel supports your dream, and then plan. So identifying those people that are cheerleaders, that are our mentors, that are coaches. So there's a video I found. It was a TED Talk, and I can't remember the woman's name, but she was a very eloquent speaker. And she said, the 5 people that you need in your life to succeed. One was a friend, one was a colleague, a coach, a mentor, and a peer. And there's 5 different, they all have a different role to play in your life, and you can't expect any one person to be the other role. And it was 5 people that you need in your life to be happy. And you can go search on YouTube for that. It's a very good video to watch. I highly recommend it. But the 5 people that you need in your life to be happy and successful. So that might be some 5 people to identify in conjunction with Julia Cameron's thing here. All right, so those were our tasks for the week. Let's go ahead and hop on down to the check-in. So if you haven't completed all these tasks, when you go through the book and reread it, it would be probably really good for you to try and do the other tasks that we didn't get to do. Kind of get to the bottom of everything. So back here on this check-in, how many days a week did you do your morning pages? Have you accepted them as a permanent spiritual practice? And how was this experience for you? So for me, I'm still struggling to do my pages every day. And again, that boils down to me, like, I just need to decide to do it and do it. And, you know, I have distractions that I let get in the way, but, you know, we're just going to bring our focus back and keep moving on and keep striving for that excellence, you guys. So the artist date this week, Zandra, did you do an artist date? Jeremy, did you do an artist date? I decided to get rid of my dresser. So I spent a bunch of time like organizing my clothing and hanging it up, and then my closet fell apart. So then I ended up spending 2 days organizing my closet because I had to go and get my standalone clothing rack because my closet rod like completely fell off the wall. So my artist date was trying to organize my house, and it turned into a bigger project than I meant to, but overall it's good. Sandra says she doesn't remember. Well, like you said, this is kind of your artist date anyway, so I guess that's a checkbox for you. And then, did you experience any synchronicity this week? I already told you guys about mine with the masks. That was really cool. And then were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them. So mine was, I have an opportunity to see a few people that I haven't seen in a while tonight. And I had to tap out of that and say, you know, I actually have things that I need to do. So for me, that was significant because I don't like saying no to people, especially not people that I love, that I get to see. Sandra says that she took naps for an entire day with complete abandon. Does that count? Well, if you needed a nap, you needed a nap. I always try to not beat myself up for sleeping till 1 in the afternoon like I did on Saturday. So, no, I guess that counts. If you needed to rest, you needed to rest. All right. So down here we go. Julia says, for your recovery to continue, you require a commitment to further creative plans. So after that, you know, we got to do our creativity contract on the end. We have a little quote here in the end of the book. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam. I hope I pronounced that right. Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad says, creation is only the projection into form of that which already exists. Ooh, and this one rings true with me. Paul Gardner says, a painting is never finished. It simply stops in interesting places. If you've ever seen any of my paintings, you'll know I can just go down all these rabbit holes and keep that thing going. I just have to pull the plug sometimes and call it. All right, you guys, we come back down here to the end. This is the Q&A session. There are actually questions and answers in the end of this book. We're not going to cover them, though. This is it for the Artist's Way. So I hope that you guys will, again, as Julia suggests, reread this, continue on with your morning pages and your artist states, and identify what it is that you want to create, whether it be a career goal, whether it be a project, whether it be something that you might not attain in the next 5 years, you know, and be careful of labeling your goals with time limits. Because there have been many times where I identified goals. Oh, I want to do this by next year. And by the end of the next month, just me saying that I wanted to do it, by the end of the next month, I had an opportunity to not only start it, but finish it. So be mindful that your timeline is not necessarily accurate, and just because you don't know the path, the quickest path, doesn't mean that the quickest path won't come to you. So again, and take a minute and reflect on your goals, because I've accomplished many things that I've decided that I wanted to do and I wanted to attain, and I didn't know until like maybe a couple weeks after I'd accomplished them, when I finally stopped to reflect and said, oh my gosh, I accomplished that thing. I should so be celebrating right now. And you have to take a minute and celebrate. And even if it's just to write it down and to acknowledge yourself. Super important. All right, so Zandra and Jeremy, we're going to switch over to Zoom. We're going to have, you guys wanted to have a pizza party? I'm having a mimosa party. So I'm going to shoot you guys those emails. The Zoom link, we're going to go ahead and create that right now. So thank you guys so much. If you would like to check out my Patreon, it's just Sari Luna Designs. I need to go through and re-gut it. So what my task is for July is I'm redoing my website and I'm setting up my Patreon, and I'm moving these videos over to Patreon, and we're going to actually start doing something a little more structured. I know that this was like one of the most structured and long workshops that I've done, but I think that it's definitely time for, you know, with this pandemic going on, we still need to maintain our community, and it's time for me to get all that stuff set up. So I thank you guys so much for joining me for this book. It's been wonderful. Again, next week, Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're going to be going through steel like an artist, and we're going to make this into a regular thing. And I think this is going to be really fun to keep building our community and connecting with each other. So Zandra, your artist dates will continue. Same for me. And we'll be able to meet up here and share and experience being creatives and the support of our community that we've created. So thank you guys. Shoot you an email. Mwah. Join us next week. Love you, babes.